Kind of light tonight, but that's all right. We have business to do. Welcome to tonight's meeting on Monday, June 26th. It is 7 o'clock. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
James Morelli. Christopher Palmieri.
Here.
Jack Perry.
Here.
Paul Chaplinsky. Michael Del Santo. Valerie DiPaolo. William Dietzick.
Here.
Tom Lombardi.
Here.
Victoria Triano.
I'm here. I just want to let everyone know that Val will be here. She's with the softball, Southington women's softball team tonight, but she's coming, and so she will be here. When she gets here, we can mark her present. That would be great. Okay, very good. So, Chris, would you please read the prayer?
Absolutely. Father, help us this night to do the right thing in all the issues that we consider. Help us to not be persuaded by popular opinion or political ambition, but rather to see this office we hold as a gift from you. Help us walk upright in this calling. Amen.
Amen. Would you join me for the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. Our first item is the approval of the minutes of last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on them? Additions, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, it's a unanimous vote of the council. Thank you. Councilperson's communication. Does anyone on the council have anything to offer today? Chris, I see you've got
Yep,
some
I've got a couple things.
newspaper there, yeah.
Yep. Couple just informational and then some other maybe questions to pose to the town manager. First of all, for residents that are interested, this Thursday at 6 p.m., there will be a session recap at the Southington Library. Our state rep, Chris Poulos, will be there with House Majority Leader. So again, that's Thursday, June 29th at 6 p.m. at the Southington Library. It's a session recap if any residents are interested in participating in that. Just a shout out, since our last meeting, we had the Southington High School graduation. Unfortunately, the weather interfered the original date, so it got moved to June 15th, and the weather was fantastic. So I know Paul Chaplinsky was there as well. So just a special congratulations to all the people that graduated and all the teachers and administrators, especially Richard Royan, who's the one that organizes the ceremony every year. So great job. Just a couple end-of-year things, some great congratulations. In the school system, Dawn Dickow was announced as the Para-Educator of the Year. She is at Hatton Elementary School. So she was, of all the schools and all the para-educators, she was selected as this year's Para-Educator of the Year. This year's Teacher of the Year is Meg Evans, who's a literacy specialist at Strong Elementary School. So she'll now move on and represent us potentially at the state level as Southington's representative. And I'd also just like to congratulate Megan Scam, who is the Southington High School Teacher of the Year. Meg Evans was the elementary and district Teacher of the Year. Question for the town manager. Last meeting, I had asked for an update from Hartford Healthcare about the situation with the ambulance. I know you sent us in response, there was a response from Gary to Hunters, I believe, that you shared with us.
Yep.
As we move closer, hopefully not, but if there's, I'm hearing rumors there may be a strike or something like that. What, just for our residents, what can we do to make sure that they know that the town is in good hands should something like that occur?
Well, first of all, as you know, we do not have Hunter's ambulance for the town right now. The step is we now have to apply, which we are in the process of applying to the state of Connecticut. But AMR is our current vendor. They'll continue to be our vendor until the health department makes a decision, probably sometime in the fall. Okay. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is I did speak with Gary. Obviously, I don't want to get involved in their internal union negotiations, but he informs me that certainly if HHC was our current ambulance person, which they are in several other towns, he's very confident that they would continue to be able to serve.
Okay. Most importantly, like I said, is the fear, just if residents are hearing same things that
Yeah.
we're hearing, that their ambulance service will go uninterrupted.
Right, well, we currently have AMR, and we will have
Correct.
AMR till the fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was actually very clarified at the meeting, that the question was asked of AMR to make sure that they understood that they are still representing our town, and they were completely compliant and saying, yes, of course, we're not
Correct,
going to.
absolutely.
Until the state
Great.
renders their decision.
Great.
So we can be very comfortable.
I appreciate that. And then one last thing. I'm sure many of you share my concerns over this matter, and have reached out to the town manager. The amount of crime lately, I mean, we're all getting these emails, and, you know, I didn't know if
I
maybe.
apologize to send them all to you, but when I get them, I immediately send them to you. But
No,
it's
and
important that you have them.
there's been so many recently that I actually asked the manager, are they reporting things differently, or has it always
No.
been the level? And, you know, a couple weeks ago, there was a story. So just for residents, the police department in town recorded 163 car burglaries last year. But as of the end of May, there were already 95 in town this year. And then burglaries were 90, let's see, jumped from 13 in 2022 to 53 already this year. And again, we're only halfway through the year. So, you know, a lot of concerns over that. Car thefts, in 2022, there were 62 vehicles reported stolen. To date, this year, there's already 43. This article was reported in the Citizen, which originally was the Record Journal. They're mentioning, and I know we were looking into doing this too, but in Cheshire, Cheshire officials approved license plate readers, and I know we were looking into doing the same. Can you, I don't know, if you don't know tonight, Mark, that's fine, you can
I
give us an
don't know,
update.
but I do know that our corporate counsel was looking at grants with the police department, so I'll get you an update by the next meeting.
All right. And I don't know if it's appropriate, through you, Madam Chair, I wouldn't mind getting an update from the police department
I
at our
was
next
going
meeting.
to, I'm glad you brought that up. I had a meeting with Chief Daly concerning the exact same thing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it after we're done, but we did talk about it. The chief has already initiated a new.
Ironic in the background.
There we go, yeah. A survey that will be distributed to everyone in town to get update information about their sense of safety within the community, the sense that any of this has happened to them. And then we will get together with the police chief. He has already initiated to request a meeting with the governor's attaché for law enforcement. And as you know, he is the past president a number of times for the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association. They are on this as well. So I'm going to give a little bit of a rundown what we have when my time comes. But I think everybody in town is concerned, Chris.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very important. And you know, we're very unique in that we have 5 exits off of 84. And so when you read some of the horrific things that have happened in the last week or so with the brazenness of these people coming into our town, we have much concern. And because of the lack of caring for innocent people, there was an incident where this one person actually tried to run a police officer off the road to crash their police car. Terrible things. But I have to say that in Southington, our police department is doing a tremendous job. The problem is, of course, so the law says that we cannot engage in high-speed chases like we used to at one time. So what happens many times, the individual jumps onto 84 and goes one way or the other way. And but our cops have been so good. I have been so amazed at their diligence. 3 people were apprehended for heinous crimes within our town, and they all went to court for arraignment. and they're all in custody right now. The judge felt that it was important that they stay right where they belong in jail. I'm not sure what the next step is for them, but it's the diligence of our police department. They are relentless. And so I'm very proud of them. But I will share a little bit more with what the chief's vision is on this. And of course, we can invite him here anytime we want to. And when he gets it all kind of down on paper and gets some concrete stuff, it's going to be happening in early July, that he would like to get this survey out to the citizens of Southington.
Right.
Because that would be hard data for Southington.
Right.
And then he can go to the office of the governor with the liaison and talk about hard facts. Unless we have, some of the stuff that you just read were facts. And
Right.
so all of it, I'm sure, is going to be. But I'll give an update on what I know.
Thank you. And then to complement that, it's okay to have the corporate counsel give us an update on the license plate.
Yeah, I'll get,
Yes.
as soon as he gets
Yeah.
back, I will,
Okay.
I'll sort of get it from him, and then I'll send out to you, or bring it to the next meeting, one or the other.
Okay, I appreciate it.
One
Thank
of-
you.
One of the things that the chief mentioned on the situation at Henny Penny, they had cameras everywhere, but some of these folks put a black thing on top of the license plate exactly because they don't want the license plate red. But that doesn't change the fact, we got them.
Right,
And so, I'm sorry, go
Yes,
ahead.
Madam Chair. Thank you to Councilman Palmieri for bringing that up, because I did do a little bit of research closer to our previous budget time regarding that. I think I read the article in the Record Journal that it was, I don't know if it was North Haven or Cheshire when they implemented that camera system.
Cheshire.
Yeah, and I was very intrigued by that as well, and I think that it's certainly something that we as a council can support, to support the police department. And that, I'm sure we'll hear all the specifics from the police department, but one of my concerns with that was, well, is it an infringement of people's rights? And the answer to that is really no, because the police department already has license plate readers, but they're manual.
Right,
This system
right.
is more of a systematic approach that streamlines with other communities that have the same software. So it really seems like it would be a good system that helps the police. Ping the stolen car, and then it helps them. So from what I learned in my limited research, I'm fully in support of this, and I hope the police department can really bring this home.
And the other point that they made is, in Cheshire, is that, yes, they have some in the vehicles, but the chances of a police
Being
cruiser
there,
being
right.
on that site. So these are mounted around town.
Yes.
The
Right.
ones in Cheshire are going to be hard mounted, kind of like the speeding,
Right.
speed limit sensors that we have.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Certainly
an update would be
interesting.
great.
Yep, that's great, yep. Anything else, Chris?
No, that's it. Thank
Welcome,
you.
Val. Let the
you so
record
much.
show, Val DePaula, Councilwoman DePaula just walked in.
Thank you. Are we in communication?
Yes, we are.
Oh,
Would you
good.
like to
Did
share
good.
anything, Val?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple things. Community Day at the Farmers Market, I was able to attend, and that was wonderful. And, just so many vendors there, and
Yeah. And Val, I've invited the farmer's market
I knew that,
liaisons here.
yes.
They're going to give us
I
a
knew
little
that.
report when we're done.
yes, so that's great that they're here. And Southington Pride had we had an event yesterday, the Pride Festival. I see Jolene here, and yeah, it was just a really good event. I want to thank Chris Palmieri for being there. Bill came when we weren't able to recognize you, but you came later. So thank you for coming and supporting it. And yeah, it was just a great event. It was a little warm yesterday, so it was a little difficult, and then some thunderstorms moving in, but just a really nice event. So
Great.
yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to take a minute now to introduce Jolene Maselli, and please come on up and tell us about the farmer's market, and please spell, I think everybody knows. Okay, just go, introduce yourself once again on the mic, please.
Okay, I'm Denise Napoli. I'm from the
Napoli.
Y, which is part of Activate Southington, which brought the farmers market to you.
Yes.
Jillian Maselli, I'm her backup dancer.
So we opened the farmers market this past Friday with Community Day, and it'll be running every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. through September 22nd. We probably have 25 to 30 vendors each week. We've expanded since last year, which we're really excited about. We have a variety from farmers. Grezix is our main farmer there. He distributes to CSA, so he's there every Friday. We will have another smaller farm there, but we have baked goods, we have crafts, we have Southington Early Childhood, we have story time. So we have a lot of activities. Jolene is updating our social media stuff, so she's posting everything on Facebook. We have a calendar of our focus days that we had distributed through the school system and through the Activate Southington members. Jolene had also posted it on Facebook, and we distributed, we had tote bags that we distributed, so anybody that was coming to the farm on Friday was able to see this. So we have different focus days throughout. It won't be every Friday, but like this coming on, we have them in Soka. So they're gonna come, they're gonna have a potter there, and they're gonna have some different make and take crafts for some of the kids. So we're doing a lot of different things, and we're really, really excited because it seems to have expanded since last year. So.
Denise, I just wanted to say, there was a very festive feeling there when I was there. And the individual that does the baskets and the totes and stuff, he was incredible. The woman, her name was Debbie. I got that right.
Yes.
And she does the individual totes and does
She does
all of
quilting,
that.
yes.
She was, but there was a whole different kind of eclectic feeling. It was very exciting. It was nice to be there. Of course, the Bread for Life was there with their honey and their bread, and so it was very nice. It was very reflective of the community and even beyond the community. So I was so happy when I got to talk to you, and I just wanted to put it in our record too, so that so folks that are watching this or what have you, they will take a few minutes on a Friday and come on down.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you so much.
Very, very nice. Thank you so, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but thank you so much for coming tonight and giving a little report anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Jolene. Very nice. Okay, anybody else for Councilmanic Communications? So let's talk about special committees. We had the meeting of the chairs this past week, and we had Bob Hammersley was there from Planning and Zoning, Colleen Clark, Steve Medancy, Mark was there, and myself. I think that was it, right, Mark? I think that was.
John couldn't make it, everyone else.
John couldn't make it, yes, from the Board of Finance. And we talked kind of generally now that the budget is passed. There was some talk about the girls' softball lights on the field, and maybe, Mark, you're going to just mention that during your report, or would you like to mention that?
That'll be during the Board of Finance. I didn't present to the Board of Finance at that time. I did now present to the Board of Finance. We got
Okay,
approval
very
there,
good.
so hopefully we'll get approval here.
Excellent. And that's really all I have. Are there any other special committees that we need to remember? We don't have any other committees on the agenda, but if they're meeting, no? Okay, very good. I'm glad you got here when you did, Val, because it's moving along. All right, a town manager's report and communications,
Good evening,
please.
Madam Chair. First
Good
item I
evening.
had is the aforementioned Board of Finance report. First thing I'd like to do is page 2. We're going to talk about revenue for a second. As you can see, we're approximately $2 million in the plus on revenue. Many different areas, 3 major areas. Investments were number 1. Kathy Larkin's office was number 2, and Jeff Pooler's office was number 3. Those were the 3 biggies that brought in the revenue higher than expected. With that in mind, I now want you to look to the next section, which is now page 9. As I mentioned at the Chair's meeting, Madam Chair, I was presenting to the Board of Finance after speaking closely with Mr. Bose, because I didn't want to do anything without his acquiescence of this. I felt that since our investment income was much higher than I had figured, I wanted to transfer my capital reasoning for the budget for the lights from bonding to budget reallocation. And the reason why is this. When you bond, it costs you money. It costs you about $40,000 to $50,000 to bond. Since we're not going to referendum in November, I felt it did not make any sense for me to do a bonding for $350,000 when the money was available. So therefore, I asked the Board of Finance to shift the funding stream from bonding to budget reallocation. They unanimously approved it. They liked the idea. Obviously, one less thing we have to worry about bonding. And more importantly, Mr. Romano and our superintendent can move forward ASAP with the lights this summer if they so desire. So I'm asking that this board, when they approve the minutes, that'll be part of the minutes.
Any questions?
How much bonding costs?
What's that?
That's how much bonding costs?
Yeah, what'll happen is usually if you do bonding in a situation like this, I would have to hold off, because I'm not gonna bond for $350,000. What I have to do is take out short-term notes. So I have to take out short-term notes first, and then I would have to do bonding as part of a package. So the next bonding package I would do, if we don't do any more referendums, obviously in the near term, is the next section of the library, which I would bond, probably the fall of '24.
So is that interest plus like administrative costs, or is that, okay?
Absolutely. You know, bond counsel obviously are attorneys,
You're right.
and they're not shy. The next item is something we do every year. Before June 30th, we have to establish the BOE's non-lapsing or carryover account. Now, there's no money attached to this at this time. As we do every year, they establish the account, the Board of Finance does, working with the Board of Education, and sometime no earlier than September, we'll know if any money will be put into that account. This is for fiscal year 22-23. The superintendent mentioned there's probably not going to be a lot of money, if any, that goes into there, but we wanted to establish the account just in case. Any other questions on the Board of Finance?
Yes, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Thank you to the town manager. So just so I understand, so the 350,000 allocation to the lights, normally that would occur after the end of fiscal year 22-23. But because of the $2 million of over budget, we are assuming that we are going to have enough excess funds with, based on Board of Finance, there's only 16 days left in the fiscal year. That's a fair assumption, correct?
Well, now there's, now we
Less
have
than
4 days left. in
Right,
the fiscal
and I
year.
can't imagine much has changed since June 14th.
I wouldn't be bringing it to you if I knew I
Right,
was going to.
I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Good. Any
And,
other-
and for the record, I appreciate that effort to pay cash if we have the capability to do so.
Chris?
Just to follow up on that, and that is from the town side of the budget?
Absolutely.
Versus the Board of Education side, okay.
It was always going to be the town side, because remember, it's in my capital budget.
Right,
Yes, I understand.
right, but
Yeah.
make sure everyone's clear that it's not coming from the Board of Ed. Paul, joining us. Just kidding. I couldn't resist, sorry.
Is it that one?
Sorry. My other question, I know throughout the budget process, especially in relation to the non-lapsing conversations with the Board of Education, school security was a topic, and I believe that was discussed as well, in one of those meetings at least. So we're not going to get into details about the school security plan, but would you mind sharing with the public the plans for updating security?
Obviously, security is one of the reasons why we go into executive session, and that's why we did at the Board of Finance level. Chairman Leary made it perfectly clear during the budget process that he wanted the Board of Ed to come back to the Board of Finance and put a package together for us for security. The Board of Finance in executive session, I could tell you, was very, very open to it. At the July meeting, I've been directed with Mr. Bose to put in a figure, and that figure will be put in, and I'm positive it'll be passed and then therefore sent to this particular board. And that money comes out of the rainy day fund unreserved balance. Fund.
Right, on the town side again.
Always, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Councilman Palmieri. I did actually have a thought on that today as well. And I had a discussion that I wanted to bring up with the council from an overall point of view. The town manager just said security is an item for executive session. But, you know, historically, we've talked about contractual items, legal matters, and real estate as being executive session. And I'm glad to hear that security and safety is another one of those topics, because I really don't recall that being specifically spiked out in the past. So I think that's good that we have it on the table, that those are basically the 4 categories: contractual, legal matters, real estate, and security and
And
safety.
nuances of those, yes.
Right. So I just wanted to bring that up to the council because I found that interesting. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mark.
And I guess I'm on a roll. I did receive a letter from the state of Connecticut. As you mentioned, the last meeting, we got one approved. Now we got the Plantsville project approved. So I'm happy to say, and I thank the state of Connecticut Department of Transportation for going through this document, getting it to us, and increasing our funding to match the bidding. As you will see in the memo, we're recommending that, and of course, the Public Works also saw this in recommending Paramount Construction LLC in the amount of $4,291,800, which includes the bid plus a 10% contingency and a 10% incidentals, and that's going to be paid 100% by the state of Connecticut. Once again, I thank the Department of Transportation for all their hard work, and I know it took a long time, but the result is going to be worth it.
Yep.
Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody? Yeah?
Madam Chair, just, so Mark, it says here the town is responsible for administering the construction contract, so any hard costs to us on that?
Yeah, there will be.
So like
That'll be coming,
incidental-
similar to what I said to you at the last meeting, when we have the, remember we did the trail last time?
Right.
That, we'll have a contract, contractor come in, we have to do that. We'll go through the Board of, the Public Works Committee and come back to you guys.
Okay. But, I mean, obviously, the state is paying the bulk of this.
They're paying the
Gotcha.
entire $4,291,000 and
Great.
change.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah,
And
that's
I-
great.
And I know that some of us, including myself, every once in a while get frustrated, but it's days like this, I'm pleased that we're working very closely with the Department of
So
Transportation.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions?
Also, we have an executive session tonight. Attorney Tom Gerard is going to be discussing litigation against the town of Southington, and that'll include myself, Attorney Gerard, and the town council.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if you want to come in.
Any more questions for the town manager?
No, just that hopefully by our next meeting, we get more good news.
I don't have anything else pending with the state, Jack. I wish I
Well,
did.
322 and Route 10 would
Oh,
be
okay.
nice.
It would be. You're absolutely right, Jack. Yep. All right, item number 6, our town attorney's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As is enclosed in your package, that was sent out last week. On June 6th, a proposed ordinance was submitted to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review and passed unanimously with a recommendation to go on to the town council. The ordinance was attached to the packet. The ordinance itself deals specifically with affordable housing, and it's entitled the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. This is a new ordinance that was drafted by our corporate counsel. It is in compliance with the Connecticut law, specifically the powers that municipalities have as it relates to implementing new ordinances, rules, regulations, and orders. I have had the opportunity to review it. I am reasonably certain everyone at the dais has as well. A couple of things I can point out to the council is that the ordinance itself, in particular, section 112-24, does not provide for specific funding. So whatever direction the council chooses to go with this, this is not a budgeted item, it's not a funded item, but it does permit funding, and there's also some suggestions or ideas as to how funding may be provided in the future. In addition to that, the same section that seemed to have some confusion with some individuals that reviewed it is the term that I use, by no means is it a legal term of art, is if this ordinance were to be approved and passed in its present wording, it's essentially a lockbox or a trust, meaning the money that goes in there stays in there. It is not taken out, it's not permitted to be taken out. The council, finance, nobody has the authority to take any of those funds and earmark them for anything else other than expenses directly related to affordable housing. Now, that expands, of course, to costs incurred by the town and things like that, but it's not one of these rob from Peter to pay Paul accounts that could be used for things unrelated to affordable housing. Other than that, I believe the proposed ordinance is pretty self-explanatory. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has. If not, I would submit to you, Madam Chair, that the council take a decision as whether or not it goes to public hearing or the next step in this matter.
Very good, thank you. Attorney Martaccio. Anybody have any questions to Attorney Martaccio or have comments?
I do have some questions. So I wasn't able to speak with our corporate counsel today. Were you able to look at any other, towns as to how they've set up the Affordable Housing Trust Funds?
I was not, I spoke with corporate counsel, as you may be aware, he's away fulfilling his military obligation,
Yeah.
and I'll be away for a couple of weeks. I did review the town of Plainville they had a proposed ordinance. I believe they have an ordinance in the books now for it. And I did, in passing, speak with their town attorney as to how it came about and was implemented, and more importantly, funded. There were no specifics that were given to me. My responsibility was more to convey this, give you the highlights as it relates to the ordinance, and any specific questions as it relates to other towns would likely be directed at corporate counsel.
The corporate
Although
counsel.
I'd be more than happy to look into it if the council so wishes.
Well, I just want to, I guess just some statements then. I was able to do some research, so I've looked at, I'm assuming that our corporate counsel did take from, I think he had mentioned Fairfield to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is fine. That's, what you do is you take what,
course.
what you could use. So I was able to look at Stamford and Greenwich. And in looking at this, setting up this housing trust fund, I just really think that this one it's very, what we have here is kind of, to me, a start. It's very open-ended. It has bits and pieces from, what some of these other towns have done. I don't see a declaration of trust, which it looks like these towns have put in there. They have an advisory board, which is going to, or trustees. They have definitions. I just think I think we're missing a lot here. And it's a great start from what I can see, and I appreciate that Alex was able to do it. I did speak with Peter Santago on the Planning and Zoning Commission, got some feedback from him as to what the commission was thinking. This is something that, Madam Chair, that I had been asking about the affordable housing study. Like, let's get that on our agenda. Let's start talking about the affordable housing study, because the affordable housing study, the action item for this is a town council action item, obviously. So I think before we have this get scheduled for a public hearing, I think we really need to take a look at this document. I think it needs to be beefed up. I think we need to look at some other towns, talk about how, if we're going to set up an advisory board, we're going to set up trustees, we're going to have a declaration of trust, and I really would like to have a conversation with, corporate counsel, obviously. And I wasn't able, Bill, we spoke briefly yesterday and quickly about it, so I would, welcome any thoughts. But, I think this is something that's really critical, because the affordable housing study was well done, and it gives us some good action items. And I think from a town council perspective, we can put a lot in place here. So to me, this is a nice start. But I don't see this document being able, it's so open-ended that I think it would cause maybe more problems than.
And I just want to make sure I understand you. So Val, you would think a public hearing at this time would be too soon?
I just think it's too soon. Right. I think it's too soon. I'm not sure what the process might be. I know if Alex is away for a little bit, Madam Chair, maybe our July meeting, it's on the agenda to discuss, And in the meantime, I really would encourage town council members, look, I have Greenwich, I have Stamford, I know Fairfield, there's a bunch of towns that have put these in place. Now, we don't have to do exactly what they're doing, but it's really showing something a little bit different than, just kind of setting up a housing trust fund and saying, okay, we have this trust fund, it doesn't have to be funded right now, that's fine, but we really want to talk about, maybe we do want to fund this, because we want to start moving down a path of how can we help, foster affordable housing in our town, help developers.
You could certainly table tonight if you wanted to. Obviously, if you're not ready.
What I was going to suggest, interrupt you, I apologize. if I did.
No, it's okay.
If,
Just my,
No, certainly, I
thoughts
understand
on it.
your summary, that is that we have the framework, but we need to fill in details in more
Yeah.
specificity.
Yep.
I would be happy if the council's request to meet with corporate counsel, express your concerns as well as any other people and individuals, and if deemed appropriate, work with him trying to fill in the gaps if you'd like.
That would be great. I mean, I would be, as I said, I was able to do it very brief, today, just kind of
course.
looking at other towns and how they're setting this up, what they're doing, and then looking at their affordable housing study, and it's very similar to what has been proposed to us.
If the council is so inclined to head in that direction and table it tonight, what I would recommend, Madam Chair, is that July is unlikely that there's going to be any regulation that will be submitted that's going to meet all the criteria. And the only reason I suggest that is we're in the dog days of summer. Attorney Riccadone will be coming back from an extended leave. I have no doubt he's going to be buried with work. Drafting it to the point where we have a sense of finality, even though certainly the council can and will make tweaks and changes to that. I just don't know if it's realistic to have that by the next meeting. Perhaps if you were so inclined to table it, maybe you shoot for the August meeting instead. But again, that's just my recommendation. I'm not telling you.
Would it make sense, though, to have it on our agenda to discuss it in July? I mean, at a council, we don't have to have the final, we don't have to have a final document in front of
Well,
us.
that's what my point was going to be, because the scope and magnitude of some of the stuff that you might have gotten already in terms of how allocations are made, who, advisory boards and all of that stuff, that's a major addition to what we have, you're right. So we are still in the very early steps. So I almost think that we're not going to be ready in July for action on this thing.
No action, no. What I would ask is, what I've been asking is to have on our agenda to discuss the affordable housing study and the action items that the consultant has given to the town council, recommended to the town council. So that's something that we can discuss as a council, now knowing that this is something that's
That is
started.
after that we.
Right,
take a look back.
we could discuss we could discuss this, because council members can certainly look at some of this material and come back with, thoughts and ideas on it. Maybe once we discuss it, then that would give corporate council time to say, okay, here's what we've discussed, here's what the council has discussed, now we can add to, and then the Housing Trust Fund can come to us in August or September.
Madam Chair, my only thought, I guess, to take the kind of the counterpoint, Val, and this is necessarily not how I feel, but just the counterpoint is that I think this is one of those ordinances where, at a minimum, I want it to go to public hearing, so I wouldn't vote no to a public hearing. And I want to hear what the public has to say about this. And I don't know if the public's opinion is necessarily going to be swayed, whether or not the document has a declaration of trust and who the trustees are. You and I might understand that subtle point. What I think the public's opinion of it is going to be the same if it's this, if it's a blend of Greenwich, and I haven't read them either. I'd like to read them myself, but,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I think we've been shown before, and I can be corrected by town manager to town attorney, that you can make modifications, slight modifications to an ordinance after a hearing.
Non-substantive modifications.
Well, I don't know, I mean, I respect what you're saying, Bill, but to have this be what's going for public hearing is not even close to what I would see as something and you're right, I mean, we're not going to get into a declaration of trust with the public, but they're going to get a whole different idea of what this trust fund can do with some other items in here. So, I mean, I'm not trying to push it quickly, I just want to do something that and I do want to hear from the public on it, but when it goes to the public, I want it to be pretty close to what we as a council have talked about. There may be things in the other towns that we don't want.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Me personally, I have great reservations about putting forth this trust fund as an idea, but I'm certainly open to hearing the public's opinions and hearing other council members' opinions. And I'll hold my reservations for a future meeting because I know that the time will come. But since we are still in the town attorney's report, the one thing I'll ask through you, Madam Chair, for the town attorney is that when we have this discussion, I would like to have the town attorney present to the council and the public what our current powers are under affordable housing. For example, how does the Southington Housing Authority currently work? How does it get funded? How does maintenance occur? Things of that nature. How does 830G applications, how does that come into play with affordable housing? And take it a step further, having a trust fund in place just for the future councils to have, I don't think is appropriate. And I say that because if there was an opportunity for Southington Housing Authority to grow bigger, how would that look? For example, if there was a property that came up and Southington Housing Authority wanted to purchase, how do the funds get allocated to that appropriate level? Is it a referendum? Is it more than $1 million? It has to go to a referendum. If it's less than $1 million, can it be a council vote? So I just think that we need to have all of our current powers lined up before we go ahead and add another layer of government that, in my opinion, is going to be another hidden fee, another tax, another overreaching step of government. So I think we have to have all the facts in front of us, and I'm certainly not opposed to a table this evening if that's the direction that we go.
Well, Madam Chair, so Tom, thank you for your thoughts on that. So this, one thing for the public is the Southington, the Affordable Housing Study has all that information in there. It has the information about who has what authority, what the 830G, what it is, what the law is, how that can be used, how that is kind of strapping the Planning and Zoning Commission. So all of that is in the Affordable Housing Study, and it's online. So residents can review that study, and a lot of those questions would be answered. This housing trust is only one tool. We may decide we don't even want to do it, and that's why I'm saying I think it would be good for the council to have a discussion on the Affordable Housing Study, how we think we want to proceed as a council to bring more affordable housing into our town, and that might be setting up a housing commission to look at all of this and even make a determination if a housing trust fund should be set up. So I think we're kind of going 5 steps forward when we don't need to. So I would ask again, Madam Chair, that I would have no problem tabling this tonight, but I would ask that for July or August that we at least have an agenda item that we discuss the affordable housing study.
Thank you so much. Anybody else have any more comments on this? Okay. Let's move on to public communications. Anyone wishing to address the council, please come on up, give your name and address, and you have 5 minutes. People running to the, all right. Last time, anyone wishing to speak to the council? Okay, I'm going to close public communication. Thank you, everybody. Let's go on with old business. Item A, action on report of finance.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the June 14th, 2023 Board of Finance minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Val, thank you. Madam Clerk, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion request, Madam Clerk, would you call our roll?
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes, thank you. Item B, action on Plantsville Center safety and streetscape improvements, bid recommendation.
Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself from the dais.
Sure. Thank you so much, Bill.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented earlier by the town manager.
Thank you. Is there a second?
And I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any other comments or questions on this matter? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Lombardi,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Come on back, Bill. There's only a few of us here to see everybody on the dais. Item C, scheduling of a public hearing for affordable housing trust fund.
Motion to table?
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second.
All in favor?
Yeah, there's no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. New business, tax refunds.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the tax refunds that are presented in our packet.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved,
Madam Chair, if I can give the language, motion to adjourn to executive session for litigation against the town of Southington, including our attorney, Tom Gerard, as well as our town attorney, who's going to join us for that.
Very good. I have a motion.
And no action outside.
No action outside.
No
Thank
action
you.
outside.
I'll
Tommy,
I'll second.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second by Chris, very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's not even 8 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Appreciate your time. Tom, come on down.